Financial thinking for life.
Almost 24 people injured, mostly school children, when a packed minibus overturns. Children at a rural school to be relocated and the facility closed. And in sports, another country denies sending bribes for Jack Warner.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the CBC Evening News. And our top story: 21 people were injured this afternoon, including one schoolgirl, critically so, when a route taxi turned over in the city. Lisa Broom tells us more.
Things have calmed down significantly here at the entrance of the Nursery Drive terminal in Bridgetown from just before 3 this afternoon. As you can see behind me, the emergency vehicles are parked now, but it was chaotic earlier today after a ZR overturned, injuring several people, among them school children. Emergency vehicles were racing to and from the scene, taking the more seriously injured school children to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital for treatment. One girl, said to be 14 years old, was severely injured when the route taxi overturned. She was rushed to surgery. The other injuries, not as severe, were described as various pains and bruises about the body. The students were assessed by the triage team from the hospital and sent to polyclinic for treatment. Eyewitnesses told us what they saw.
I was coming home from a town when they saw the ZR turn over. They see children climbing through the window, and then we came over here, saw the girl walking. She felt covered in bare blood.
We just see the van coming, then we hear bram, and we say skating. Car was coming in. Then we get out here, me and my other colleague, we see them pushing the van over. Then we see the girl pull the little girl out and push her over there.
Transport Minister Michael Lashley, who was on the scene, said the matter would be dealt with seriously.
I've been informed that the Transport Authority will be taking strong action by tomorrow in relation to the owner of this vehicle. I've been informed that that permit will be suspended pending investigations, and of course they will take the necessary action on the law. Of course, there has to be due process.
As it relates to the driver of the vehicle, who was also injured, the authority is expected to recommend that his license be suspended pending investigation. Education Minister Ronald Jones expressed concern about the accident.
We don't want to lose any of our young people to this type of tragedy. So, I mean, all we can do really is encourage them to exercise good sense, good judgment, avoid any vehicle that you know can prove hazardous to your life and limb. But at the end of the day, it has to come from what parents say to their children as they leave home on mornings. Encourage them to be careful, avoid peer pressure to get aboard transportation that you know might not necessarily do the right thing on our roads.
Police have promised a thorough investigation and to take the appropriate action if breaches of the law are found. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
Thank you, Lisa. The Customs and Excise Department could become part of the Barbados Revenue Authority by year end. Finance and Economic Affairs Minister Chris Sinclair revealed this to reporters on the sidelines of the launch of the Scotiabank Economic Growth Fund at the Courtyard by Marriott. He says there are still a number of things to be done to finalize that merger.
As you know, we have the crop over season coming up, and that is a fairly busy period for customs. It's the summer period, and therefore if we don't go before then, it would not make operational sense to try to do the transition in the middle of crop over. So those are the kinds of considerations that we are making before we ask Cabinet to express its favor on any particular date.
And the Finance Minister's comments come ahead of a meeting on Thursday at 10 o'clock by the National Union of Public Workers to update customs workers on the transition talks to the BRA. Mr. Sinclair says the aim is to ensure that the process is as seamless and smooth as possible rather than one of acrimony and discord. Well, common entrance examination results are expected to be released tomorrow. This revelation from the Education Minister, Ronald Jones. The minister is expected to hold a press conference at the ministry around 10 a.m. to discuss his findings.
You will know on Wednesday when the principal collects the results, where those children will be going to the various schools that they will be going to, and you will have, well, the press can say they're coming up Wednesday, so that's not a problem. It's the truth. And for some reason, when we can't deliver Wednesday, we'll tell you that it is Friday. But yeah, they're due, so you will have them. You will actually have them on Wednesday.
Meantime, the Chalky Mount Primary School is set to close. The decision has been taken by the Education Ministry after an engineering study on that facility.
Land slippage and other issues over the years have caused serious structural damage to the school. Minister of Education Ronald Jones says the school is under distress as seen by the many cracks that have taken over the building. He says it is necessary to close the facility.
The school is in a state of serious distress to the point of being catastrophic, so we have to put its use to an end.
Mr. Jones was speaking at the Chalky Mount Wesleyan Holiness Church, where he met with parents of the students who attend that institution. The school is being relocated to the Mount Zion Seventh-day Church for classes 1 to 4 and the Chalky Mount Wesleyan Holiness Church for the infants. But come September, Mr. Jones says the school will be amalgamated with the A. Da Costa Edwards Primary. And while some parents raised concerns about the relocation, the minister says the students' safety must come first.
I really don't like to move schools out of communities. They're too important to the efficacy of a community. But the bottom line is that the children's safety must always be paramount for us, for you as parents and for teachers. I've said earlier that you can be assured that the staff of Chalky Mount will be going with the children to A. Da Costa Edwards.
Minister Jones says the ministry and the Transport Board have agreed to have a charter to transport the students.
Investigations have been launched into an incident making the rounds on social media, showing a police officer brandishing his gun from his Jeep in a city district. The officer was allegedly pointing his weapon in the direction of several protesting residents of the Orleans in St. Michael. Now, word of the investigation has come from the Acting Assistant Superintendent of Police, David Welch. There are conflicting reports as to what led to the confrontation. More news in just a moment, but first we want to get your take on this question. Do we need to bring more serious charges against reckless public service vehicle drivers? You can text yes or no to short code 8111 and we'll have the results for you at the end of our news.
Today, Sebastian Daniels is teaching his daughter to drive. He's a little nervous, but he shouldn't be. Because no matter what happens, his auto insurance from Sagicor General has them covered. And besides, it turns out she's a natural.
Nice job.
Sagicor General, wise financial thinking for life.
Any tricks or gimmicks. We treat all our prepaid customers like MVPs. MVP means maximum value per person, maximum respect. Subscribe to any 1 gig 30-day data plan and enjoy a reduced calling rate of just 49 cents to any network, any landline, anytime. With Line, you pay just 49 cents and call any phone in Barbados, so you won't have to top up as often. Put data on your phone and keep your money in your pocket with Lime MVP.
Value, convenience, we got it. 50 stores and services, yeah, we got it all. When it comes to you and your family, it's here
Wednesday at Burger King. Get one of our amazing Whoppers with an ice-cold 16-ounce Coca-Cola for only $12.95 and a delicious turtle pie for free. If that isn't a deal, I don't know what is. Whopper is now Wednesday's King of the Day. Visit www.burgerkingbarbados.com for more details. Only at Burger King, where taste is king.
The outgoing head of the Department of Emergency Management wants the long-standing issues of governance and staffing solved in the near future. Judy Thomas says she raised many of the challenges in a special meeting with Prime Minister Freundel Stuart as she prepared to leave that agency. And Lisa Broom has more.
After 47 years in the civil service, Judy Thomas is sending out her last alert. She wants the governance structure of the Department of Emergency Management changed so it can better execute its functions. And evidently, true to style, Ms. Thomas made this clear in a 90-minute meeting she requested with Prime Minister Freundel Stuart as she departed office.
There's some issues with the civil service concept of running the disaster office, and it cannot be maintained because it is a completely different creature that you are asking to administer under some very clear, difficult conditions, and it can be administered within the context of all of the civil service rules and regulations, because you wouldn't get anywhere if you don't break a few of them and break them often.
The disaster management specialist also told the retirement function held in her honor at Champers Restaurant a number of other issues were raised at the meeting.
I raised those issues. I raised the issues of resources, human resources, financial resources, of facilitation of the national system. And he has asked me to document some of the issues, not I will make a recommendation, but some of the issues that he'll have discussions with the minister in terms of how you can move forward to carry the organization forward. And one thing that has concerned me most is that the members of the emergency management system are not well named. They are not named in legislation.
And praising her staff for their hard work over the years, Ms. Thomas also advised her successor, Carrie Hines, to embrace technological and other changes and to make the department hers. Meantime, Home Affairs Minister Adriel Brathwaite complimented the DEM's staff for their output, noting they have a reputation of always getting the job done. Testimony, he says, to Ms. Thomas's legacy as a leader in spite of the staffing and other challenges she faced.
The level of productivity in the department under your management belies the staff that you have. In other words, when one thinks and sees the amount of work that comes out the Department of Emergency Management, you really think that we're talking about a staff of 50 or 100 and stuff. And that's a testimony to the team that you built, to your own initiative, to your hard work, and certainly to the level of training that you also give to many of your officers.
Mr. Brathwaite encouraged Ms. Thomas to enjoy her retirement and make herself a priority during that time. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
Well, Barbadians appear to be paying attention to the amount of salt they use in their meals and are cutting down on it. According to the Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Cheryl Aline, it's one of the achievements of government's efforts to reduce the multi-million-dollar impact of chronic non-communicable diseases. She was speaking at a forum to review the region's NCD agenda and the progress made.
We continue to work on a third piece of legislation which relates to the packaging and labeling of tobacco products. We have had some success in our national low salt campaign, and we continue to engage manufacturers, importers, and distributors of food and beverages for the need to include healthy options in their product offerings.
Meantime, Director of the Pan American Health Organization, Dr. Carissa Etienne, acknowledges the gains made by some islands, but she says it will take a regional effort to see any real progress.
I created a new department on non-communicable diseases and mental health, and I handpicked one of our best, Dr. and Professor Ansam Hennis, to head this department. And we are amplifying our assistance and coordinating a response across the 4 diseases and the 4 risk factors that are the primary challenges of NCDs.
Some of the island's charities and community projects will receive a boost from the St. Paul's Anglican Church. This was revealed by Reverend Canon Wayne Isaacs at a service of Thanksgiving for the recent fundraising event, the St. Paul's Fiesta. Chairman of the church's outgoing committee, Anthony Allen, says the fiesta, now in its 15th year, raised over $45,000. He later pleaded with Barbadians to return to the habit of giving, a practice he believes could remove many of society's problems.
Barbadians in private companies and individuals can work with non-governmental organizations like the church to help build our communities and tackle some of the ills that we see from day to day. It has shown Barbadians that even though we may not have a lot and that things may be tight, or tight at times, that we should still try to give to and help others who may find themselves in need, because we have indeed been blessed.
Well, still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across our region. But first, a reminder that we want to hear from you on this question. Do we need to bring more serious charges against reckless public service vehicle drivers? You can text yes or no to short code 8111 and we'll have the results for you at the end of our news. And you can also follow us on Twitter at CBC_Barbados and on our Facebook page, CBC